My name is Moeketsi from Ivory Park in Midrand. I am a leader from the organization MSEECC, Midrand Solidarity Economy, Education Communication Cooperative. So part of the things that we do is to work with different actions in communities, particularly the action that I'm referring to, the recent one, is where the community members decided to occupy land, and that happened for some time, more than 2 months it happening, and it started basically due to the EFF political party deciding to go the route they're always talking about, taking land without compensation. So that happened, but as it continued to happen, part of the community decided, no, maybe the EFF route is not the best route, so let's also occupy another portion of land, but we work just only as a community, not being led by any political party with their constrictions. So that happened somewhere in November last year, 2016. So when that happened, there were clashes that were created by that cessation of part of the community members. So then those people occupied that land and stayed there for about 4 months. On the 11th of May, that was then when the municipality decided to approach them, but it approached them not to have any conversation with them, but to go there and tell them within 1 hour you should be out of this place and no negotiation. We have red ends already coming, and red ends is the notorious security company that's working to help municipality in issues of evictions. So that by itself will trigger any protest anyway, because you're just telling people to move without engaging them, and that definitely happened in Ivory Park. So people started revolting against that instruction, and because municipality weren't there already with their minds made up that these people have to move, no negotiation. So even when negotiations were put on the table that other people are at work, we can't have just 1 hour to move, and it's about 600 sheikhs occupying that small space. So that puts property of the people in danger, because someone will just get into any sheikh and steal people's property. But municipality, particularly metropolis, couldn't take that. So they said, now you guys are moving, or we are going to move you. So after that hour, indeed, the red ends came in, and as they arrived, that's their mode of operation. They come there with their crowbars, armed with these pump guns they use to shoot rubber bullets. So as they were offloaded from the trucks, they then started fighting with the people without any any trigger effect. So then started fighting like that to the extent that they were injuring people, but it got worse when they injured one comrade, and they beat him with the crowbars. I think it was 4 very critical wounds on the head, and they, I mean, his guards were out. And the unfortunate part is they stayed there beating that person for something like 15 minutes, even when he was lifeless in a way. And people then started negotiating with them, pleading with them to go and rescue that person. But even at that point, they then continued shooting and beating people who were trying to go and rescue that comrade. Unfortunately, after I think a week, the comrade died in hospital.
When was this?
It was on the 11th of May. That's when this was happened. So he died later in Tembisa hospital. We tried to follow the law the way they are stating it. We have to open the case. We have to go to IPIT to try and get the Metro Police investigated. But these institutions are not working for the people. They are not helping anyway, because IPIT, for example, said no, we don't have assurance that Metro Police was the one which was like beating people up, so we can investigate Metro Police, yet the Red Ends were the ones who were doing the beating. So that means the life that was lost, the institutions which were there, I mean, which are there, are not even protecting or helping in assisting the people who lost their life. I don't know, maybe it's the crime that the person committed by occupying the land, but come on, who didn't occupy the land? Ivory Park itself, for it to happen, people occupied that land, but it was formalized. So, but
Where's the occupation now?
The occupation is still happening, but the municipality went to court, got the court order saying people should stop occupation until the court date. So the court date is on the 29th. But the court was, I mean,
29th of
29th of August. So it was initiated by a municipality, not by the people, not by the victims, the municipality. So that triggered different other protests within the community. The informal settlement somewhere decided they should go to the roads and protest against service delivery. So Ivory Park is now on the stage where protests are happening like every weekend. It's somewhere there's a protest, and the thing is, people are just protesting. They know the institutions which are there are not helping them. So the only way for them to address their issues is through protest, and their protests are not guided. They go out and ban some infrastructure, so it defeats the purpose at sometimes. But what is interesting now is the people who, these victims, the community members, they decided to go back and rebuild their shacks. And in doing so, they are defying the court order, and at the same time they are building their capacity to mobilize and to move um, away from following the prescripts that they are being given. So I think that is empowering in a way, because now people can think. I mean, they don't depend on the political parties anymore. They know that they can have their own movement and they can challenge issues. So my point here is sometimes the struggle gives back, gives birth to consciousness. And so the question is, are we building through struggle, or are we struggling so that we can build? That's the thing that I'm still struggling with.
Maybe both.
Maybe both, but the results are fruitful for the community. So I think it was the best thing that ever happened in Ivory Park, even though it was the worst thing to happen in Ivory Park.
And what is the ultimate objective for you guys? Is it just about getting a piece of land to set up a shack, or is what's how do you see this playing out?
Um, I would say the piece of land that we are occupying, um, it's under ESCOM pylons.
Mm.
We know there is no way that that piece of land can be allocated for people to stay in. And we know in Ivory Park, like the land is all full. I mean, there is no way we can say we can go. I mean, from this space we can go and be allocated that land. But I think the ultimate goal here is not for people to have that piece of land as a place to stay, but to initiate conversation between themselves and government, because there is this practical issue, the absence of land for housing, and a land is crucial, especially for people in Ivory Park, because Ivory Park population is growing. So with the growth of population, you can't stay in your mother's backyard forever. It has been 20 years already, so we've been there. I mean, the conversation has to be started, and I think it's opportune moment for municipality to engage its people, so that they don't come as they can solve everything. They need to understand that maybe when we talk about housing, what does people on the ground understand about housing? What kind of houses do they need? Um, what possibilities are there? Is there any conversation that is happening? So that conversation is not happening. So I think the community is pushing that conversation to happen. But the ultimate end, I can't put my finger on it. I can't say a community is doing this so that that can happen. But the bottom line is, at the end of the day, there has to be that kind of conversation happening. So, but I think the next step that's going to happen is we keep on inviting this MMC for housing, but it's running away from us, because it's going to people in the south, so way to just to sit down with them and plan. But with us, he's always avoiding coming to the table and talk to us. So I think there is something there that needs to be interrogated. So the unity that has been created now, I think it makes that possible, because back then people were like all over, so you couldn't put people who are fragmented, who don't speak the same with the same voice, can't put them together. But now people are more mobilized. You can sit down with them and
And
talk to them.
occupations in South Africa, it's something that happens in South Africa everywhere for a very long time now. Um, have you guys been able to engage with any of other movements that's occupying land right now?
Yeah, I mean, that was basically part of the mandate for MSEC, because we know of different struggles which are happening all over the country. So what we did was during this 4 months period, we were engaging with different movements to come and do political education, to come and make sure that people understand exactly what they are putting themselves into. So different organizations were coming, we were doing the film screenings, we were like making sure that people understand that there is